Hey guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This is your host, Thomas Tyree from On the Hot Podcast. Today, I have some bonus content for you guys. The bonus content we'll be covering today will be in the sport of boxing. In today's bonus segment, I'll be sharing my thoughts on Canelo Alvarez versus Edgar Berlanga officially being announced next for Canelo Alvarez's return to the sport of boxing. So, the news broke out a few hours ago that on September 14th, Canelo Alvarez will defend his unified super middleweight titles against Edgar Berlanga. And I said unified titles because Canelo Alvarez is no longer the undisputed super middleweight champion. And Canelo Alvarez has been stripped of his IBF world title. The fight is now being advertised as Canelo will defend his WBC, WBO, and WBA world titles, 3 out of the 4 prestigious titles that boxing has to offer, instead of the IBF world title. It seems like Canelo Alvarez has been stripped of the IBF world title for not fighting his mandatory William Skull, and seems like now he has 3 out of the 4 titles at the super middleweight division. So, my thoughts on this. This is a damn shame. Canelo Alvarez versus Edgar Berlanga is not going to be an exciting fight. Now, I may be wrong personally, but on paper, this is a mismatch. And this fight is really tailor-made for Canelo Alvarez to get another knockout victory against Edgar Berlanga, who has no damn reason to be in the ring with Canelo Alvarez. Now, it's a damn shame because we're seeing one of the greatest of all time in Canelo Alvarez, who is the face of boxing, but might not be the face of boxing for much longer. It's a damn shame that Canelo Alvarez is fighting weaker opponents, not the best of the best right now in the sport of boxing. We all know that Edgar Berlanga is not on Canelo Alvarez's level, and Canelo Alvarez has been known for fighting the best of the best on his legendary resume. But now it seems like nowadays Canelo Alvarez is just looking for big paydays to fight whoever, to put asses in seats and not get the big time fights. At the time, you had some elite super middleweight fighters like David Benavidez, who's been the mandatory for 3 years for your WBC world title. You also had an up-and-coming fighter of David Morrell, who did not get a shot at Canelo Alvarez either. Instead, we've seen Jaime Mugina get a shot, Edgar Berlanga get a shot. How are they more deserving of David Benavidez, who has been the interim WBC super middleweight champion, the mandatory for 3 years, get their shot at Canelo Alvarez other than David Benavidez? And it's gotten so bad that we're not even going to see that dream fight between Canelo Alvarez and David Benavidez, because I don't see Canelo Alvarez moving back up to the light heavyweight division at 175 after losing to Dimitri Bivol 2 years ago. Now, it's so bad that David Benavidez is the mandatory now for the winner of Dimitri Bivol versus Arthur Beterbiev for the undisputed championship fight at light heavyweight in a few months in the sport of boxing. So, we have just been robbed of what could have been a great epic Mexican versus Mexican fight between Canelo Alvarez and the Mexican monster David Benavidez. And it seems like Canelo Alvarez, you look at his last few fights, has no intentions of fighting a true contender at the super middleweight division. He's fought Jaime Mugina. He's fought Jamal Charlo, excuse me. He's fought John Ryder. And a washed up Triple G. You guys tell me, maybe I'm seeing something in a different perspective, but it seems like Canelo Alvarez has no true intention of fighting the best of the best. And I think Canelo Alvarez is going to get smoked because they're going head-to-head, toe-to-toe. Canelo Alvarez and this Edgar Berlanga card is going head-to-head, toe-to-toe with UFC 306 that night, which UFC will be making their debut at the Sphere. So you're going head-to-head in terms of pay-per-view production. The PBC, Al Heyman, what are you thinking? They're going to get smoked. I mean, this is not the best choice. And I'm pretty sure Canelo Alvarez with PBC. If I'm wrong about that, I apologize. But still, in regards of pay-per-view buys, the face of boxing is going to get blown out by the UFC 306 card, which I know Dana White and the rest of the UFC executives, Hunter Campbell and company, are going to put together a badass card when the UFC makes their debut at the Sphere at UFC 306 that same day, that same weekend in Vegas. So this was a head-scratching move. I don't know why Canelo Alvarez is not going to fight the best of the best. And it seems like the only competitive fight that we can really get for Canelo Alvarez at this point of his career is against Terrence Crawford. And that's asking Terrence Crawford to move up 2 divisions. Someone who is an all-time great in their own right, in my opinion, the best fighter that we've seen since Floyd has retired. I think he's pound for pound the best right now. But you're going to have to ask Terrence Crawford to move up 2 divisions to give us Canelo Alvarez his hardest opponent, because he's not moving up to 175 to fight Bivol, Benavidez, David Morrell, and the best of the best of the best out of that division. So you're going to have Canelo Alvarez in the super middleweight division really do nothing. And the pettiest thing about it is I can literally see Canelo Alvarez, which once he gets past Edgar Berlanga, whoever thinks Edgar Berlanga is going to win, you're delusional. But once he gets past him, I can literally see him on Cinco de Mayo weekend going after William Skull for the IBF title to become a 2-time undisputed champion at the super middleweight division, which would be absolutely wild. I can see it happening. I just don't see a threat to Canelo Alvarez at this point, because I think he's at the end of his career. There's no really real threats at the super middleweight. I mean, Caleb Plant is still there, but Canelo already knocked him out. So I just think that Canelo Alvarez is going to keep getting away with it. His fans are going to be excited to see him fight. Mexican fans are going to be excited to see him fight. Me personally, I'm disappointed, and I will be bringing out that fire stick when he fights Edgar Berlanga. But in all seriousness, though, I really hope Canelo Alvarez does get it together, and he does still has the aspirations of fighting the best of the best. And I know he's had over 60 pro fights, and I know that that mileage in his gas tank, it's almost on E. I know we're seeing the end of Canelo Alvarez, but you can at least give us one more dream fight before it's all said and done. Now, thoughts on the undercard, which this fight could be the co-main event. I'm looking at this also, which was announced. You'll be seeing the return of Danny Swift Garcia. He'll be fighting against Eris Landy Lara, who will be defending his WBA middleweight championship against Danny Garcia on the undercard, which I do believe could be the co-main event. Now, it is crazy that Danny Garcia is getting a title fight. This is a random fight, because we haven't seen Danny Garcia in a boxing ring since 2 summers ago now, when he fought in July of 2022 against Jose Benavidez, brother of David Benavidez. That was the last time we've seen Danny Swift Garcia in a boxing ring. And he's getting a title shot on the undercard of Canelo Alvarez. So maybe that could be an interesting fight. Maybe that's the best thing about this Canelo Alvarez Edgar Berlanga card. But I'm just going to tell you guys, Edgar Berlanga does not have the goods to hang with Canelo Alvarez. I just think he's tailor-made to get knocked out. He's not a good defensive fighter. Leaves himself open to get clipped. I think he doesn't make it past 9 rounds with Canelo Alvarez. Maybe I may be wrong. Maybe he tails him along to the finish line like Canelo did to Jaime Mugina, which Canelo could have finished him off if he really wanted to. But we'll see. I don't think this is an exciting Mexican versus Puerto Rico fight like we've seen in the past in the sport of boxing. But that is all the time I have for you guys today. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. This is your host, Thomas Tyree, signing off. And I'll see you guys on next week's episode.